In the vast expanse of the world's oceans, the United States Navy stands as an indomitable force. For decades, it has projected power and maintained peace through the sheer might of its fleets. Among these, the USS Theodore Roosevelt, a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier, symbolizes the pinnacle of naval supremacy. With its towering presence, the carrier hosts up to 70 aircraft and serves as the nucleus of a formidable strike group. The Roosevelt's presence in the Caribbean in late 2025 was part of a strategic operation, showcasing America's commitment to regional stability. As part of Operation Southern Spear, the U.S. aimed to deter narco-terrorism and reinforce alliances. The carrier strike group, equipped with state-of-the-art technology and heavily armed destroyers like the USS Laboon and USS Cole, epitomized naval dominance. Yet even with such overwhelming force, the inherent unpredictability of the sea loomed large. The Caribbean waters, a theater of geopolitical tension, became the backdrop for an unexpected encounter. The U.S. Navy's confidence was soon to be tested in an unforeseen and fraught situation. In this setting, the power of the American Armada was both a shield and a sword, ready to respond to any threat. However, the events that would unfold were not merely a testament to power, but a reminder of the thin line between peace and conflict. The Caribbean Sea, under the cover of early morning darkness, carried an air of mystery and tension. The vast, open waters were cloaked in silence, with only the gentle lapping of waves against steel hulls to break the quiet. It was in these early hours of November 14, 2025, that the seeds of a near disaster were sown. Amidst this tranquility, a sense of foreboding lingered. The strategic deployment of U.S. naval forces in the region had heightened sensitivities. Political tensions and military maneuvers created an atmosphere ripe for misinterpretation. The darkness of the pre-dawn hours masked movements that, unbeknownst to either side, were setting the stage for a potential confrontation. The USS Theodore Roosevelt and its accompanying ships moved with silent efficiency. Their crews, well-trained and alert, remained vigilant against any threat. Yet, even the most sophisticated systems could not predict the unforeseen human element that would soon come into play. As the minutes ticked by, the calm surface of the Caribbean waters belied the storm brewing beneath. The stage was set for a dramatic encounter, one that could have had catastrophic consequences had it not been for the restraint and readiness of those involved. In Venezuela, a different narrative was unfolding. At Punto Fijo, preparations were underway for a mission based on outdated intelligence. Believing a lone U.S. destroyer was within striking distance, Venezuelan forces readied themselves for action. Their radar systems, however, were out of sync, painting a misleading picture of the American presence in the Caribbean. The decision to intercept was made with a sense of urgency, driven by a desire to assert national sovereignty. 5 fast attack boats were dispatched, each crewed by men determined to confront what they believed was a solitary threat. Unbeknownst to them, they were on a collision course with a much more formidable opponent. The Venezuelan Navy, operating with limited resources and aging equipment, was no match for the advanced capabilities of the U.S. strike group. However, emboldened by a sense of duty and national pride, the crews pressed on. Their mission, though rooted in miscalculation, was a testament to their resolve. As the boats sped toward their intended target, the reality of their situation remained obscured. Theirs was a mission fraught with risk, driven by a misunderstanding that could have far-reaching consequences. As dawn approached, the Venezuelan boats sliced through the Caribbean waters, closing in on their perceived target. Unbeknownst to them, the USS Theodore Roosevelt and its strike group lay just beyond the radar's deceptive reach. Both sides, blind to the other's true intentions, moved ever closer to a dangerous encounter. Communication channels were strained as each navy operated under its own set of assumptions. The Venezuelans believed they were engaging a lone destroyer, while the Americans remained unaware of the impending interception. This lack of clarity set the stage for a confrontation that neither side had sought. The quiet of the early morning was punctuated by the rumble of engines and the hum of sophisticated technology, yet the human element, flawed, unpredictable, and prone to error, loomed large. The stage was set for a potential clash, driven by miscommunication and misjudgment. As the vessels drew nearer, the tension mounted. In those critical moments, every decision, every maneuver carried the weight of potential disaster. The path to conflict was paved by a series of unintended actions, each compounding the risk of an outright confrontation. At 4:58 a.m., the USS Theodore Roosevelt strike group detected the incoming Venezuelan boats, identified only as unidentified fast-moving vessels. The initial contact was made at a distance of 22 miles, with the boats approaching at a brisk pace of 46 knots. Awareness spread quickly among the crew, catalyzing a measured response. The USS Laboon and USS Cole, destroyers accompanying the Roosevelt, assumed a defensive wedge formation known as Delta 7. This strategic alignment was designed to protect the carrier and its assets from potential threats. An MH-60 Romeo Seahawk helicopter was swiftly launched, tasked with providing aerial surveillance and gathering critical intelligence. The U.S. Navy's response was precise and calculated. Every move was a testament to the rigorous training and preparedness that defined the naval personnel. Despite the uncertainty, their actions remained rooted in protocol and discipline. The stakes were high, yet the resolve of the American sailors was unwavering. As the unidentified boats continued their approach, the tension within the U.S. strike group grew palpable. The possibility of a hostile encounter loomed large, necessitating readiness for any eventuality. Despite the heightened threat level, the American forces maintained their composure, a bulwark against the unpredictable nature of the unfolding situation. As the Venezuelan boats drew nearer, they executed a maneuver meant to overwhelm their target. Splitting into two groups, they employed swarm tactics, a strategy designed to confuse and overpower. This aggressive approach was intended to assert dominance, a show of force against what they believed was a lone adversary. At 5:47 a.m., the lead Venezuelan boat fired a 107mm rocket into the water, a warning shot meant to convey resolve and deter further confrontation. This act, however, was a grave miscalculation. Rather than serving as mere propaganda, it escalated the situation, interpreting the move as a direct threat. The U.S. Navy, operating under strict rules of engagement, shifted its posture to Condition 1. This readiness level authorized the use of weapons for self-defense, marking a significant escalation in the encounter. The firing of the rocket, intended as a symbolic gesture, carried the weight of potential conflict. Tension within the U.S. strike group reached a peak. The risk of misunderstanding and miscommunication loomed large, threatening to tip the scales toward open conflict. The actions of the Venezuelan boats, rooted in faulty intelligence, brought both sides perilously close to a point of no return. The situation at sea grew increasingly volatile as the Venezuelan boats continued their aggressive approach. One vessel in particular accelerated directly toward the USS Cole, closing the gap with alarming speed. At just 1.3 nautical miles away, it breached the 1,000-yard defensive perimeter, triggering heightened readiness protocols aboard the American ship. Within the USS Cole, the crew braced for the possibility of direct confrontation. Countermeasures were readied, including the deployment of the CRAM, counter-rocket, artillery, and mortar turret. The tension was palpable, the air thick with the anticipation of what might come next. The Venezuelan boat, mere seconds from the defensive trigger line, continued its approach. The potential for conflict hung in the balance, each moment stretching into an eternity. The actions of both navies were guided by the imperative to defend, yet the underlying current of misunderstanding threatened to unleash chaos. In these critical moments, the fragility of peace was starkly evident. The convergence of human error, technological limitations, and strategic imperatives brought the two sides to the brink. Yet restraint prevailed, a testament to the professionalism and discipline of those involved. The disparity in power between the U.S. Navy and the Venezuelan forces was stark and undeniable. The USS Theodore Roosevelt, with its accompanying strike group, had the capability to deliver a devastating blow. Each destroyer carried 96 vertical launch cells, a testament to their overwhelming firepower. In contrast, the Venezuelan Navy, with its aging equipment and limited resources, could not hope to match the technological superiority of the American fleet. The potential for devastation was immense, underscoring the futility of a direct challenge to U.S. naval supremacy. Yet the actions of the Venezuelan boats were driven by a sense of duty, a commitment to national defense. The U.S. Navy's readiness and capability served as both a deterrent and a safeguard. The presence of such overwhelming force in the Caribbean was a clear message of strength and resolve. However, the events of November 14, 2025 highlighted the delicate balance between power projection and the risk of unintended consequences. As the confrontation unfolded, the true might of the American Armada loomed large. The potential for destruction was tempered only by the restraint and professionalism of those at the helm. The encounter served as a stark reminder of the perils of miscalculation and the importance of maintaining open channels of communication. In the aftermath of the confrontation, a collective sigh of relief spread across both navies. No shots were fired, and the situation de-escalated without further incident. Yet, the events of that morning served as a sobering reminder of how close the world had come to the brink of war. The encounter between the U.S. and Venezuelan forces underscored the fragility of peace and the dangers inherent in miscommunication. Simple mistakes, compounded by outdated technology and geopolitical tensions, had nearly led to an unintended conflict. The restraint shown by both sides was a testament to the professionalism and discipline of those involved. In the days that followed, there was a renewed emphasis on the importance of clear communication and careful decision-making. The incident served as a catalyst for dialogue, a reminder of the need for vigilance and cooperation in preventing future misunderstandings. The lessons learned were invaluable, highlighting the thin line that separates peace from conflict. Reflecting on the events of November 14, 2025, it was clear that the world had narrowly escaped a disaster. The encounter in the Caribbean was a stark reminder of the perils of miscalculation and the critical importance of maintaining open channels of communication. In the end, the narrow escape from war stood as a testament to the resilience and resolve of those who serve at sea.